Carolyn Doobie here. What's the play for today? Well, today it's with hot glue and cardboard for gel printing. Now we're going to be making some patterns on cardboard, but along the way you're going to see how I make sure that my image is completely flat, doesn't have all that hot glue, you know, bumps and all that kind of stuff on it. I'm also going to share with you how to easily get a handle on these so that it's easy to print with. It's not that awkward trying to grab that cardboard and move it around where you get your fingers in the paint. Not that that really bothers me, but it does get in the way of moving quickly. The other thing that I'm going to share with you is if you've ever made a cardboard stamp, you know, hot glue and cardboard stamp, and you've put paint on it and you've tried to push it onto paper or a journal, it doesn't transfer very well. Well, there's a way around that, and yep, it all has to do with the gel press plate. All right, so here's what we need. We need cardboard, good old plain old cardboard, something like lids, caps, yes, that's dental floss there, and a hot glue gun with lots and lots of glue sticks ready to go. I'm going to draw a shape, anything that I want, right here on the cardboard. Feeling in a circular mood today, so that's what I'm going to do. While it's still really hot and gooey, I'm going to flip it over onto the craft mat. Now it's very important that we flip it over onto the craft mat. The reason for that is it's going to make everything flat. Sometimes when I make glue shapes on cardboard and I want to use them for printing, what happens is they're uneven, they're bumpy, so I don't get this great, wonderful impression. Flipping it over onto the craft sheet while it's still hot, and you don't have to push it down, you literally just flip it and let it be there. What that will do is make it nice and flat, but you have to leave it there till it cools completely. Now, of course, you can do any size of these things, any kind of pattern that you want to do. Now, I'm feeling in a very circular mood, like I said, so I am going to draw a bunch of circles on here. Now, anything that I hand draw, my circles would probably be more accurately called ovals. They're very wibbly wobbly, and I also need to work quickly. If I'm going to work on this large of a piece of cardboard, I've got to get it all done and flipped over while it's still hot or warm. That way it will flatten out on the other side when I put it onto that craft mat. So I am going very quickly. This keeps me from spending too much time thinking, and I'm just going as fast as I can. This is why having a very hot glue gun is very handy. And of course, naturally, hot glue is hot. It's in the name, so try not to get your finger in it. I'm going to flip this last one over, and then I have to do the hardest part of this whole process, which is wait for them to completely cool. Now, what happens if you don't wait for them to completely cool? Well, the pattern doesn't lift off of the craft mat completely. Let me show you. So as I go to pull the very first one off, it doesn't come up easily. If it's not coming up easily, that means it's still very hot and gooey. So you can see where the glue broke apart there, so I don't have that flat, wonderful shape that I wanted. Instead, I've got a bunch of ripped up glue. So if you pull it up too soon, that's what happens to it. So now the others are cool enough that when I pull them, they come right up. There's no yanking or pulling. They come up really, really easily. And then what I want to do is take a pair of scissors and trim off the excess cardboard if I don't want to get that shape when I'm making prints. Because those little edges, you'll get those lines, kind of like with rubber stamps if they aren't trimmed up carefully. Same deal here with the hot glue. Now this larger piece, I'm going to give it a little test here and see if it comes up. I'm going to try it from both sides to make sure that it will, and it is ready to come up, thankfully. With this one, I've got little spiders of glue everywhere. I can spend my time and try and get them off by rubbing them with my finger, but really, why bother? I'm just going to trim this one up with the scissors, going around the shapes as best I can. This does not need to be super precise, and of course, once you start printing, if you notice a little bit more of it needs to be trimmed up, that's easy to do. You just trim it up after that. One of the hardest things for me about using something like cardboard on the gel press plate is that it's hard to grab. There's no handle. So we're going to make handles. Yep, that jar of used up moisturizer, the lid on that is going to become the handle on this cardboard hot glue stamp. Anything can do this. You'll notice a small thing of dental floss there. I really love those little ones that you get from the dentist when you go for a cleaning because they make awesome handles for this. Lids, paint caps, anything that you've got, Legos, whatever you can find that you are willing to hot glue on there, that can become your handle, which makes these things really easy to use when you're printing. So let's get some paint onto these cardboard stamps that we've just made. I've got two 8x10 gel press plates here, and I've put 3 colors on there. A yellow, a teal, and a hot pink. Those colors are heavy body Liquitex acrylics, and of course any acrylic paint will work well on a gel press plate. Now the colors, I'm cleaning off the brayer over there to keep my other gel plate just perfect and crisp and wonderful, because it's going to do something for me. Well, it solved a problem for me, that second one, and we'll get to that in a minute. So I've got my paint onto the plate. Next thing is to get some pattern on here. So I'm going to bring that big one with the wibbly wobbly circles on there, and I'm going to push it in and give it a little bit of a wiggle and a wobble, and then I'm going to immediately put it somewhere else on the plate. Some of the color is going to transfer and move around, the pattern's going to get interesting, and I'm also going to have paint building up right onto that hot glue. That's what I use the other plate for. I'm going to put some of the pattern on there just like a stamp. Now I have an art journal opened up to a page that I'm going to put this on directly, because that little bit that's been stamped on there, that will dry quickly, so I've got to make sure that I'm ready to rock and roll quickly. So I've got my journal there, and I'm pushing the journal directly onto the plate. And what's going to happen when I lift it up is I'm going to get all of that wonderful pattern and color and magic right on the page. The thing that I found is if I make these kind of stamps and just stamp directly into the journal with the cardboard and the hot glue, it very rarely transfers well for me. By using the gel press plate in the middle, what that does is it grabs the paint off of the stamp, and then it also releases it onto the art journal page. So using that gel press plate as a middleman there in that process, I actually get cleaner, crisper, and much more interesting prints. And yes, of course, by putting paper right onto that fully loaded up with paint gel plate, I'm getting all sorts of pattern happening there too. You can see how the pattern and colors moved around to create those prints. So now it's your turn. Go plug in that hot glue gun and see what kind of fun patterns you can make on cardboard for your gel printing. And of course, if you want to see more of my videos, hit that subscribe button and head on over to the blog at acolorfuljourney.com. Thanks so much for joining me today and letting me be a part of your colorful journey.